Well, thanks for coming to our presentation. It's a great story, great jurisdiction. I've been in mining for about 27 years. My career first started off with Barrick, Hudbay Minerals, Golden Star, Torex Gold, First Mining, and companies like that. So it's a real pleasure to work in Newfoundland. Forward-looking statement for anything that I might be talking about. A little video just to show you where Newfoundland is. You'd be surprised how many people might not know where it is, but we're on the eastern coast. Probably one of the top jurisdictions in the world. I think back about 6 years ago, the government came out and said, we want to see 5 new mines in the province. So certainly a pleasure to work with them. So this is a picture of our land package. There we go. So you can see that in blue is Newfound Gold. They're about a $500 million mining exploration company. They just presented before me. And great company. I've been doing work for about 5 years, finding high-grade gold zones on this Appleton Fault. And we started off about 3 years ago. So we were able to get a large land package around them, very strategic. And right now we've got $5 million in cash, well, as of February 1st, and no debt. And a great board, great technical team. Eric Sprott owns about 14%. And there's only 2 players on the Appleton Fault right now. It's Exploits and Newfound Gold. Labrador Gold sold their property last summer for about $20 million in Newfound shares and cash. So the next slide, we're going to focus on Bullseye and Gazebo in this presentation. I lifted this slide from Newfound. You can see it kind of shows this is just south of Bullseye, literally 5 kilometers where they found 20 gold zones. So pretty amazing, actually, when you look at some of the grades there. And the next property up is our Bullseye property. So you can see the Appleton Fault's almost like a feather. So you've got sort of the main stem kind of going through it, and then you've got all these sort of splays coming off of it that have the gold. So it's great having a property like Bullseye right there. I was invited to the site visit. So a lot of times you get to see drill core with lots of flecks of gold in there, but it's pretty amazing to actually be on site where they actually stripped away the overburden, and you actually can see the veining kind of going through the property. So I had the pleasure, you can see there's a vein there kind of going through, and it goes on for, a couple hundred meters, and then you see large flecks of gold. And then also on the bottom slide here on your right, you actually see how it kind of meanders and keeps going through. So and these things go down for kilometers, right? Deep-seated faults. We had our site visit right afterwards. You can see our team, and a lot of investors came over to see us. One of the things they want to see is the most recent result we had last summer. 67 grams over 3.3 meters. Beautiful looking quartz with visible gold in it. So that was a highlight. I'll go through it. I just want to get that up front. Our management team and board, fantastic team. Ken Tiley, he joined us from McEwen Mining about 3 years ago. He's used to running large exploration teams. Has been in the business for about 40 years. Fiona's here, I believe, as well as the conference, and there she is. And then Shanda's also here too. She's our Corp Dev and IR person. And on the board, Doug Cater just recently stepped up to be the chair. Doug's a fantastic gentleman. He was a former VPX for Kirkland Lake. So he worked with Eric when he was the chair there. He's one of the guys that actually went down to look at Fosterville, looked at a number of different projects. But him and Tony went down and actually came back and talked about the potential of that Fosterville. And if you don't know Fosterville, it's one of the highest grade, most profitable mines in the world, hitting 30-gram material down at depth. Larry Short, a very prominent wealth advisor in the province. And Siri, she does great sustainability work for large, mid-tier, junior cap companies. And also Ron Husband, he is a economic geologist, very smart guy. So just on our capitalization, 8 million market cap, 5 in cash, very liquid shares. You can see we've got lots of share volume going on, trading on the CSE and the OTC. And again, Eric owns about 14%. And we also do have a lot of high net worth individuals that are in the stock. So focused on Bullseye here for a bit. We staked this about 2.5 years ago. We beat out 100 of our competitors. It was a bit of a coup, to be quite honest. We just got really good at staking. And it's right where you want to be, right? It's a small land package, 1.2 kilometers, but it's right on the Appleton Fault, right where all the action is. Oh, sorry. If I can go back here. Oh, there we go. So when we first got Bullseye, first question Eric said is, when can you drill it? So we started drilling it, and literally we came out with our horseshoe discovery. And then Newfound came out with their Everest, their Jackpot, their K2. And then there's been like 6 gold zones discovered just south of us, really within a kilometer of our border. So super happy. So far, we've got 2 gold zones to our name. We still got 5 drill holes to report on, but it's just a fantastic claim. So our first hole we drilled, we just want to drill into the Appleton and see what it looked like, you know, from our perspective. And we hit gold, which is really nice. Nice hit for 14 grams. So we kept So we kept drilling. Oh, there we go. We kept drilling, and hole number 19. Hole number 19 had 55 flecks of gold. Really nice grade, up to 118 grams per ton. Very nice looking quartz, you can see, with gold flecks. And then we announced our saddle zone, and that was last summer. That's where we had the big hit of 67 grams. And then we had grades up to 254 grams. So very, very proud of that. It looks like it might be a splay coming off the Appleton there, off to the right. So very happy. And then if you look at what the quartz looks like in comparison to like Fosterville and Newfound, it's the same stuff, right? It's quartz with stylites. You get a little bit of antimony, bugs, visible gold. So it's great that we're in the same host rock. And I got a video here. I'm big on videos. Same type of featherish, Appleton fault you saw before. And we're just going to take a look underground. I'm going to do a bit of spin around. So what you'll see here is our latest hit, 25 grams over 1.6 meters right there. That was just kind of below our horseshoe discovery. And then what you'll see is the zones that we've identified. So the gold zone is the horseshoe discovery, and the blue zone is our saddle discovery. So very pleased. And I guess one thing I'll mention too is that Newfound's been drilling for the last 5-6 years. We really just started drilling on this about 1.5 years ago. So how did the gold get here? So tectonic plates come together. Orogenic means mountain building process, right? So as the plates were coming together, these deep-seated faults got created, almost like a snow shovel pushing against. And then this is where the fluids were able to, with high pressure, high heat, get forced up. And you can see that we see the gold is actually in the blue areas off to the main fault structures. And then what I've done is transpose. You can see how those faults are actually onto our land package. And that's just a bigger view of that. So you can see there's a number of faults here, right? You got JBP, you got Appleton, you got Dog Bay, Grubline. So there's a number of parallel faults going through central Newfoundland. So stepping back to the theory, when I joined about 3 years ago, I said, who's the smartest guy we know? And we called up Dr. David Groves, and he was our consultant for, actually on a weekly basis, we'd have calls with him. So he's sort of known as the father of orogenic gold. He coined the term back in 1992. So the theory here, and actually this came from Australia, it's an Australian guy, but you have parallel faults, much like you saw in central Newfoundland. And as they turn and slip against each other, they create openings, right? You got competent rock and less competent rock, and it creates openings. And then you have these cross faults potentially coming through, right? So it's a kind of a textbook example of how a blowout can happen for a large gold deposit. And actually, I put Keats here, so Newfound Gold's Keats right beside it. And you can see it's a textbook example. You got sort of an 070 splay or a cross fault going through parallel faults. And that's where you find most of the gold, right? So we had Dr. David Groves and our team sort of look at our land package, and we said, where are there cross faults on these parallel faults? You see, we've got a number of cross faults going through, right? So it's very prospective area. And actually, you can see we're going to focus on Gazebo right now, and there's about 3 cross faults going through Gazebo. And we also did VTEM, LiDAR, and you can see that it's sort of, you can see the splays coming off. You see a couple 070s and so forth. So what we've been doing, it's such a large property. It's like 8 kilometers on the Appleton Fault. It's a big property, right? You could fit all of Newfound Gold's 20 gold zones into that property. You know what I'm saying? That's how big it is. But we want to do, soil samples, till samples, and make sure that we can triangulate and figure out where the hot spots are, right? So we start off our till sampling program, and we were very pleased that we found over 14 times more gold grains in certain areas than background. So very pleased. You can see here's a picture of the team celebrating on the bottom. So that was great. And so we started following up and keep doing these till samples. And we actually announced this morning some more till samples. You can see some of these areas are getting tighter and more prominent, if you will. So we're very pleased. You can see just on the southern tip. In fact, Newfound came out with their dropkick discovery was about a week ago. And that's it's on the Upton Fault, but it's about 6 kilometers just south of there. But the key thing is the gold is continuing north. Everything seems to be going north, okay? Right into our property. So the catalyst for us, we still got 5 drill holes to report on Bullseye. We had our till samples out this morning, so that was great. And then we're going to do follow-up programs on Gazebo. It could be some trenching, some IP, keep advancing those to maybe drill-ready status. And then also we created an opportunity fund too, our committee, where we've got $5 million in cash, and we get approached by others on investments, but right, we're just looking at projects that have gold resources. But we're focused on Newfoundland, and it's a pleasure to be here. So that's it. So $5 million cash, $8 million market cap, near a big brother, Newfound Gold, $500 million in market cap. They're coming out with a resource, the first resource estimate on the Alberton Fault. So that'll be very interesting, as well as a PEA, all within the next 4 months. So we'll be watching that very closely. Eric still has 14% of us, very supportive shareholder. And yeah, great team, great land package. Yeah. So any questions?
We've got a reasonable amount of time here for some questions. Anybody?
Oh, yeah. The question is, how much are we going to spend on exploration? Yeah, so we kind of pride ourselves on being nimble. So we don't have an exploration budget saying we're going to spend $5 million this year, because a lot of the spend and the allocation of capital is dependent upon the current information at the time, if that makes sense, right? So we'd still need the 5 drill holes back from Bullseye. We still need to understand. Actually, I think we're going to learn a lot from Newfound's resource as well, their estimate. So we want to understand as this unfolds where we deploy our capital. So by being nimble, I think how we deploy it, when we deploy it, I think is very important. So we don't really say we have $5 million this year, $5 million next year, and so forth. That's not the way we think. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone else?
So how much cash do you have?
$5 million. Yeah. Yeah. Mostly hard dollars and tiny bit of flow. Yeah.
So you have an enterprise value of $3 million and the extension to Newfound Gold's Appleton Fault.
That's exactly right. And actually, if you want to look at a valuation comparison, so if you look at Labrador's property, right, it was about 13 kilometers on the Appleton Fault. So with, that got sold for $20 million last summer, right, in cash and shares. Gazebo's 8.4 kilometers. So from a valuation perspective, looking at that as a recent transaction, Gazebo's got to be worth about 10, 15 just by itself. And that's not including all of our land packages that we have. In fact, I'll say one more thing too. So we were focused on Dog Bay line before we actually staked the claims on the Appleton Fault, because there's actually 4 or 5 really good targets on the Dog Bay line too. Yeah.
So you're undervalued.
Absolutely. Well, honestly, the downside risk is when you have cash, right? I mean, we're going to deploy that cash, best bang for shareholders, right? But anyway, so we have a question in the back.
What's the cost of drilling per meter? How include where you have?
Yeah, so it's about $200 a meter, and then assays cost about $40 a meter.
Thank you.
Yeah.